XRP is being used for more and more things. The fight between Ripple and the SEC will soon be over. After that, spot ETFs will be proven here in the United States. The EVM sidechain on the XRP ledger and a lot of other details led to that. Before the end of the year, all three of these will be huge. Let's talk about where this is all going. There's a wonderful talk here. This is the CEO of RKX being talked to by All in Crypto. I stopped that in a strange spot. Everything is fine. I've also had shorts like that. We thought, let's play this. I have a lot more news about Ripple and XRP. Let's look at what's coming up in the next few months. Let's play this. In terms of tokenizing everything, where do you think we are now? You guys are tokenizing everything. That's not quite the right sentence, but it's the right way to talk about it. In terms of that, where do you think we stand? Of course, this was the first time digital assets were used in real life in the UK. It's clear that we're at the beginning. What are we going to do? Yeah, we did the first fully digital tokenization of a fund in the UK with Baillie Gifford, which we announced not too long ago. We're doing this security deal, but there's one big difference. It's been about 7.5 years. Now, this Lloyds and Aberdeen deal is different because they had to add us as a counterparty in order for us to work with them. The same goes for Baillie Gifford too. So, Archax and other fintech startups in the same area are no longer the only ones talking about this. The big guys now all agree that this is going to happen. They are beginning to change how they do things to account for it. So, to answer your question, I thought we'd be a lot further along than we are now, but that was just the founders' hope, and we might not be here now if they weren't. We're still on that ye-08 though. In other words, rules have been put in place in all of the world's big countries. I think BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF is interesting. The last time I looked, it was worth $83 billion, which is 5 times faster than any other ETF and makes it the 20th largest ETF right now. I'm sure it's worth more than that now. Now that you have people interested, there is an insane desire for these products, as shown by all the treasury stuff. The word is getting out all the time. The young people today seem to be much more interested in digital investments than they ever were in traditional securities. With the new rules in place, banks and other institutions are now trying to catch up so they don't get messed up. So slowly, all of these building blocks are being put in place, which, to be honest, we were missing for the first 4 or 5 years of our life. Also, you and I talked about the perks, but it was hard to show them. But you're beginning to get, when people use things like Nest, they save real money by handling things faster and more efficiently. Big changes are coming in the next 3 to 5 years. All it takes is for DTC or Euroclear to say they're going fully digital, and those changes will happen. A lot of things in the world are going on chain. He seems to think that DTCC or Euroclear will announce the tokenization of all their financial assets in one big event, and it will happen with the flip of a switch. As you may remember, we made a movie a few days ago where we talked about how long that would take. It's there. It's there. I don't think it will all happen with the flip of a switch. I think it will happen slowly over the next 5 to 15 years based on how long it takes for different areas to be able to talk to each other. When you sell something on chain, the ownership needs to be able to change hands. And that makes it hard to connect systems that are decades old to the blockchain's present infrastructure. So how do you link all of these old tools together with blockchain? And these are some of the problems remember that quote he said? A lot of people paid attention and were interested. He did, however, mean to talk about the tokenization of money market funds. The total amount of money in US money market funds is about 7 trillion. This shows a big rise in the amount of money that might be tokenized if the whole money market switches to blockchain or another type of digital ledger technology, adding tokens to stocks and ETFs as well. By the middle of 2025, US-listed ETFs had assets worth about $11.6 trillion, and this year they saw record high entries. Most of these market stock ETFs hold a huge amount of assets that could also be turned into tokens if this trend continues in the industry as a whole. There is also the matter of analyst project 45 trillion being given away by Americans. Younger people are more interested in dealing in cryptocurrency right now than they are in the stock market, okay? And in about 10 to 15 years, our parents will pass away and leave their money to the next family. And we can already see that a lot of this money will be put into the crypto market when that happens. This is because people between the ages of 18 and 35 are falling in love with cryptocurrency and blockchain. There will be $45 trillion passed down from Americans age 70 and up to younger people over the next 10 years. It is thought that by 2048, the great wealth shift will have reached $124 trillion. For example, over the next 20 years or so, $124 trillion will be given to younger people. I think a lot of this money will be invested in new businesses and blockchain solutions. So it will be very interesting to see how everything turns out. Verson also wrote this: 1,000 won't be the ceiling, it will be the floor when XRP is used as a bridge asset for tokenized assets, real-time F, and sovereign debt swaps. When you have a set maximum supply and transacting, Onal burns, the supply goes down and the demand goes up. He also said something that made me wonder how much burn we're really talking about. If the XRP ledger starts to be used on a large basis, how long would it take for some of the stock to run out? Let's check out what he has to say. When it comes to possible maximum transactions, the XRP ledger can handle about 3,400 transactions per second, which is about 293 million transactions per day. Real-world rates for a practical, steady throughput expert site are between 500 and 700 transactions per day, which is about 43.2 million to 60 million transactions per day. Based on the burn rate and process at least, 0.01 XRP is burned for every transaction as a fee. For every year, the theoretical highest number of XRP tokens that could be burned is about a million and 70. In real life, between 157,000 and 220,000 XRP are burned every year. When it comes to production, the total amount available is just under 100 billion. Years to burn 10% of the whole stock. That's about 9,326 years. I can see why he's saying this, but if we look at the facts, even if we make this 2 or 3 times bigger than what they think it will do, you're still looking at a timeline of 45,300 to 63,400 years. The bird will not do anything while we are still living. This could be for generations in the future if we're all still alive, up to a few thousand years. It's possible that these assets are worth a lot of money, but it will take a long time to burn them. Okay, I'd like to talk about that with you. When I read that, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Okay, you should know that when max supply and transaction burn happen together, supply goes down and demand goes up. This happens over a long period of time. Okay, waiting with patience. What do you think would happen if we got the one ETF? I think that would come next, then the XRP ETF, or right after that. Then we might get a few more this year, but I believe we get at least these two. It depends on the market. That's what I think. If the MA, keep in mind that these incoming funds will bring a money market multiplier or market cap multiplier with them. According to recent study, the market cap changes by about $10 million every time money comes into or goes out of the XRP ledger. A few billion. We're starting to see a 100x to 500x or 600x increase on money coming in. So if we could get $5 or $10 billion and let's say $10 billion at a 200x multiple, that would put the value of XRP in the trillions of dollars. That might help the XRP ledger jump in front of Ethereum. I think that will happen in front of Bitcoin in the end, but we'll see how that goes. Jake Claver also has something to say about ETFs. Let's pay close attention. With the ETFs, everyone thinks the price of XRP will go up, but how do we know the funds haven't already been bought over the counter? That is a great question. They've been. The over-the-counter OTC desk is definitely busy with XRP. Partners with whom we work through, Uphold and Kraken, have both said that when we've talked about it. When the ETF market starts, I think it will be crazy busy. I might be wrong. Let's say it's half of what Bitcoin's was on its first day. It might be 5 or 20 times more, but $400 million worth of trades were made on the first day of the Bitcoin ETFs. Let's say 200 million, that's 100 million XRP at $2. Okay, they might buy that over the counter, but as the supply goes down, even in the first couple of weeks, as more and more people buy into those ETFs, the price will have to go up. They could buy it over the counter anyway, and I think they already are, along with the TWAP, as I said, so prices can stay the same here. On the other hand, I think that as that quantity goes down, prices will still go up and up over time, what they can get on the open market and what they can get over the counter. If it's called a tier 1 asset in any way, don't bother with it. It's going to be like gold. There will be a sale price and a special price above that. People will be able to get more than the spot price. That's it, right? That makes me happy. And we had to know that the demand for XRP ETFs is much higher than the demand for Solana. Solana may have 5 and XRP has a lot more than 10. You can choose from 21 shares, Bitwise, Canary Capital, Wisdom Tree, and Pro Shares.